you are a master at self-branding or personal branding, particularly yourself. Like, you've done so well at that. Why and where does that come from?
Well, I don't know about that, man. I think a lot of it is just seeing what people are putting out there and just being really sick and tired of it. And it's like, in this AI world, everything just seems so fake. And I think if you can just call out the BS and just say truly what you feel, it's not that easy to stand out in any market, you know? That's that was one thing that like I learned, shoot, a long time ago, was like, it seemed like everybody that I was around, like they were all doing this like cookie cutter approach to it, and it never like sat well with me. I'm like, like I don't feel like I'm being myself. Like I feel like I'm being kind of fake, and so like that was where everything started from, was where I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna put like a cuss word out there and see if people see how that goes. And people are like, breath of fresh air, it's so different. But that's really where it came from. And I was like, you know what, like this does feel better, just being myself, throwing it out there. If it upsets people, it is what it is. Like people are upset because they want you to call them a cat these days. Like I don't even care. I don't care. So that's where it originally started from. Was like, I think with your brand, it's not just about like, it's not about just like what my brand colors are, the font style, like the website. It's truly who you are, your mission statement, and what you want to do. But part of your brand is, and we can go deep on this, man, but like, I mean, part of your brand is just being you. And if people don't like it, they've got the rest of their life to get over it.
It's crazy because partially of what you described is why I started this thing in the first place. Now there's like 10 million something like, I'm very aware everyone and their brother today has podcasts. Now, first of all, we've known each other for several years, but when I originally started, it was called The Wanderer. It was like over 10 years ago, and somebody introduced me to an extremely successful Nashville-based entrepreneur, and literally the word podcast hadn't hit the zeitgeist yet, and he called me a journalist. And I had to it was a really weird, awkward moment, because I had to explain, her name was Gigi, I had to explain to Gigi, like, I'm not a journalist, this is a podcast thing, and
right.
she kind of got weirded out, and she's like, okay, so what is this? And then we ended up not interviewing each other, but this is that's how long ago it was. And similarly for you, right, you've been doing this for a minute, right? And I think I've said this in the past, the word authentic, right, meant something a couple years ago. Now it just means either purposely being vulgar or deliberately not lying. It's not even about being yourself anymore. It's just not lying, which is not the same thing. And sure. I think that's kind of what I meant by personal branding, like you're a master at it. You are a master at being authentic for you, not cussing for the sake of cussing,
right,
or not telling, we'll get into this later, but on some of your landing pages, deliberately telling who you're not interested in or who your avatar isn't, right, is a little more rare, I think, than most people would realize, because there's a reality that you're turning away money in that way, sure, right? But when you do work with these clients, you're helping them build their brands around themselves. And originally in MLM, which is entirely lifestyle based, entirely based around themselves, right? So I'm going to have a follow-up here, but the quick version is, what do you see within those that win or won in the past and those that didn't when it comes to building this brand entirely around themselves?
Oh, it's just consistency. And it's so I was hoping you were going to drop a gold mine, that one little trick I haven't heard before, but dude, you just look and see. You just look and see everybody. Here's one thing that I find fascinating is there are people who I fangirl over. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to this person, right? But when I get to them in person, I'm like, damn, they're just a human being. They're just normal person. And maybe they're a step ahead of me, but that's not the point. The point is that they have just been in the game longer. They showed up more, and that's the only thing that separates them from us. You know what I mean? That's it. It's just showing up. And most people are like, well, I got to figure it all out first. It's yeah, cool. Figure it out while you're showing up.
So how does somebody, okay, you know what? This is a great bridge then.
Sweet.
You're speaking from experience when you say just show up. to share, I know a little bit about it, and I know most people might not. If they don't know you, they should know you, and they should be following you. I don't say that because we've known each other. I say that because the golden nuggets on the side that you say casually is where I found a lot of value, right? So just for background and context for everybody else here, I was working with clients for these last 5 years, and I would either direct them to your way and kind of go back and forth. And we've kind of like interwoven a few different times because I've worked with a number of clients either on an equity basis where I actually became their partner and then sold later, or it was just like strictly kind of a consulting side. But there's always been this overlapping weaving. So I know your story, but the vast majority of people aren't going to know your story. And I can tell you, I did not suggest that these people spend their money on top of my consulting on accident. Like it wasn't just random because I didn't want to do the work. It was like, I need you to be in a certain frame of mind and have some certain base understandings so that what we do and what Trey does isn't wasted.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
You started an MLM, but you didn't even start there. Go through that a little bit.
Yeah, so I went to college to party and meet girls, and then I actually got a degree out of there. It took me 7 years to get a 4-year degree, so like I got every I got my money's worth, you know. It was totally useless, but like I was like, look, I want to get out of my hometown, and so I went to college, played soccer, and just drank and just partied. And I'm not promoting that, but that's basically what I did. And then after college, they're like, hey, you gotta grow up and go get a job. So I went and did that. And I went to school for criminal justice. I thought, you know what? I don't know what to do with my life. Who does when they're 18 and 21, right? And so I was like, being a cop sounds pretty cool. So I studied criminal justice. And then after that, I live in New York. So in New York at that time, there was a big freeze on hiring for state police. Like for like 3-4 years, they just weren't hiring on new state police. And so in that time, though, I was going through all the testing. There's, psychological testing, lie testing, physical testing, all different types of testing. And if you go through with all of that, then you'll eventually get a call saying, hey, you were accepted, you did your stuff. Come on down to the academy for like 6 months and learn how to become a state trooper, right? And so, like I said, there was a freeze on that. And so I was like, well, I'm going to see if I can kind of do something in that field towards criminal justice. The only thing I found at the time was I was becoming a social worker. So I did that. My job was to basically bring kids out of the foster home and reunite them with their family. And that's really what I love doing, because I'm like a kid at heart. Like that's why the kids love me. I'm like, hey, you shouldn't be acting like an asshole, basically, right? Like, knock it off, okay? And like I just told it to them straight, and so those kids really, like, we vibe together, right? But then there was this. I met this girl. She's my wife now, Kaylee, and we moved in together in this like cabin on like 300 acres of land in the middle of the woods. I loved it. It was paradise for me. Back then, rent was like $500 a month, everything included in this like little cabin. I was like, this is like, we got it made. We were drinking wine on the front porch, watching the sunset, ripping off guns. It was awesome. Okay. So like I was just in my element out there. And so this one time, she said, hey, I need you to do something for me. And you're going to think it's weird, but I need you to do it for me. I was like, well, what is it? She's like, I need you to sign up for this like business thing. And I need you to buy these products, and you need to do that. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, I'm part of this MLM. I'm like, you're part of a pyramid scheme? Oh, loser, right? Like, no way am I going to do that. Like, I told her straight up, like, look, I will buy the product for you for like a couple months. Like, I could lose some weight. I'll do that. But, like, I'm not going to get decals in the back of my car telling people to join my team, buy my stuff. Like, I'm not having it. I'm not doing that. And so I was using the products, and I was like, hey, this is pretty good. Like, I dropped like 15 pounds, and I was in great shape. And it really, I truly enjoyed working out, taking care of myself, all that stuff. So it was awesome. But while that happened, I had a couple of buddies being like, hey, what is it you're doing? I was like, oh, I'm doing this like stuff that Kaylee's giving me. These are like workouts and stuff. Like, it's pretty cool. I think I have a link. Let me go ask my wife or my girlfriend what my link is. And so I'd share that away, and they'd be like, yeah, you can go get it here. So I had like 3 or 4 people do that, and didn't really expect anything of it. But then that month, I get this check in the mail, and it was like $400. I was like, what is this? She's like, oh, you sold some stuff. I'm like, I did? This is wild. It's like, you actually can make like money online with this. She's like, yeah. And I was like, all right, tell me more about this. Cause like, I'm waiting for this freeze thing to happen. I'm not getting paid that much, but if I can make money online without going into a part-time job, like I'm in, right? And so I just kind of got the bug, I guess, like the MLM bug. And so that's what got me into everything. That's where I got, I guess we can call them like my entrepreneur wings. Now, as you know, most MLMers are saying my business, and I don't agree with that. I don't think MLM is your business. I don't know if I would call it the best business model even, and I'll probably get attacked for that. But any business that can get taken away from you, any business that depends on the performance of your downline, to me, I'm like, oof. It hurts, right? And I felt that later, and we can talk about that in a bit. But anyways, like I just got into that, man, and started doing really, really well. About a year into it, I was making more money than my job. And I was like, you know what? Like, what if I could quit my job and kind of go all in on this thing? And so I did, right? And so it wasn't probably 3 months after that, dude, where I get this phone call and I'm like, oh, this is from Albany, New York. Like, who is this? It's probably a debt collector, right? Probably someone trying to get a hold of me. So I answer it, and it's the New York State Troopers, and not in a bad way. Not like, oh, you're in trouble. It was like, hey, you've been accepted. You can come on down and you can train. And I was like, oh boy. So I had 2 weeks to make a decision. And so I called my dad, and I'm like, hey, yeah, the New York State Trooper, they said I did a good job and I'm accepted. He's like, oh, finally, my last kid, I can finally like breathe at night because he got through it. He's going to have a real boy job now. Like I've done it as a parent. And so he was all stoked for me and everything. And then Quentin, dude, I was like, look, Dad, I'm having a lot of fun with this MLM thing. Like I really think this is what I want to do. And he's like, are you shitting me? He's like, you're making the dumbest mistake ever. He's like, you don't have a predictable plan. That company could go down. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. He's like, think about your future. You got good retirement, great benefits, a good paying job. Like, why would you not do that? And as a parent now, I can absolutely understand where he's coming from. But I was like, no, I think I'm going to go all in on this. And that was a really tough time because I was like, this is what I love to do, but this is like the safe and steady way to go. So I went all in. I was like, all right, well, we're going with this. Sorry, cops. And so I did. I went all in with that and stuck with network marketing for a bit, rode through the ups and downs, learned a lot. I mean, we learned sales. I learned how to actually market a product and promote a product. Learned leadership, learned a whole bunch. Like that's why when I say MLM isn't the best business model, but it is an amazing stepping stone into what you will want to eventually do. I mean, for like $90 a month, you can't learn. Like, it's a great way to learn how to get thick skin, how to learn rejection, how to have people, giving you their opinions on this pyramid scheme that you're part of, all the things, right? You learn sales, all the things. So I think it's a great stepping stone, but it wasn't ultimately what I ended up doing full time. Like, that's not where that was my stepping stone, basically. So that's the beginning part of that story, man.
So that was a major, I've never heard that. That was a major fork in the road moment then.
Yeah.
Like time. For life, like the entirety of your life, I guess. At the time, did you feel like it was a fork in the road for life itself, or did it just feel like a difficult decision?
It was just a difficult decision. I mean, you don't want to upset your dad, right? Like, this is, my dad's amazing. Like, I love my dad. And so, and as a father, you're looking to be like, hey, like, I've made dumb decisions in my life. Here's a way for you to not make that dumb decision. Go this route, right? So I get that. So it was definitely a difficult decision, but at the time, like, I know he didn't understand what I was trying to do. I think he was just trying to be a protector, and that's what every dad does,
Right. And now my son just turned 2. And now it has a new meaning, the whole idea of that. And I got a second one coming on the way. It definitely puts a monkey on your back. There's a little bit more pressure, in terms of life itself. But generally speaking, I totally get it, because I'm already thinking about this quite a bit, and maybe a little too much. But like, what are we doing for school? And public school ain't an option for 750 reasons. And okay, so is it homeschool? Is it private school? And what am I? And you were in the middle of nowhere in New York. I grew up on a horse farm in Nashville. So it was very similar, except, kind of in the volunteer state. But that's wild to me. So then what did you do when you decided, like, I want to go all in on this? Like, what did that look like? Did it look like buying 100 books? Did it look like, because there's a lot of self-education there through these processes, right?
It was like, all right, I'm going to do the daily things that will build my business, push my business forward. Every business, no matter what business you have, you need leads. You need to follow up with those leads. You need to close those leads. That's business, right? And so that's basically what I did all day long, was just think, how can I get in front of more and more people? And I remember at this point, I was like, look, I have talked to every single person that I know about either a product or an opportunity. Like, I need to learn how to expand out into my like cold market. And I remember I heard this one guy, he said, if you want to never have a problem with a lead or making money, you need to learn how to market yourself, build your own brand, and show up every single day consistently. So he's like, I will challenge you to make a video every single day. I was like, I like that. I can make a video every day. Even though I suck at making videos, sure, I'll do it. Right? I don't mind it. If the payoff is I'll never have a problem with leads and making money, pretty good payoff. Like, choose your hard, right? Like, that was basically it. And so, sure, I invested in a ton in reading and programs, courses, coaching. But I think the biggest thing that really helped me was just showing up consistently every single day. And within the industry that I was in, within network marketing, a lot of big mistakes I see when I open up social media is like, buy my stuff. It's a promo, flash sale today, 2 spots left in my downline. And like, they wonder why those, like, they don't get anything from that. It's like, that doesn't work. That's not how you actually market your thing. And so I decided, well, like, what would get me to want to buy this thing? And so that's really what I learned how to market, right? And so I thought about, like, who is it that I want to attract to me? And at the time I was in a weight loss industry, MLM. So I was like, well, obviously people who want to lose weight, they struggle with weight loss, all the things, right? And so I just went all in on, I'm going to make videos to solve my target audience's problem. And my goal was to do it for a year and just see, hey, all right, I'm going to commit to a year, see what happens. Most people are like, a year, I'll give it like 2 weeks. And if I don't get more likes, I'm done. It's like, okay, you aren't in this for the long run, right? So I gave it a year, and dude, it wasn't even like 3 months. Like, my following was just growing. People were sharing my stuff like crazy. I decided I'm just going to do a video every single day at 9 a.m. and have it up at 9. And I was so consistent with that, where people were just showing up on that page every day. And if I was like 3 minutes late, I remember I got a message from someone being like, yo, you all right? It's like 9:05. Are you good? It's like, dude,
are you dead? Like, what happened?
Right? Yeah. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm just getting into it, right? Like, hang on. And so that built like crazy, to the point where I didn't have to do like that cold outreach. I didn't have to like constantly message people and all that thing. I had people come to me, which is totally different, right? And so I think, whatever product people have, whoever's listening, like, if you've got something that you want to sell, like, you need to market all around that thing so that people are coming to you and looking at you as like, this is my go-to dude. This is the authority figure, right? And just, that's all I did every day. And anyways, it wasn't even a year until that was happening. So I decided, let's go another year, and then let's go another year. And I did we did over 1,200 videos probably every single day. And that just grew to the point where, if I wanted to start learning how to sell my own stuff, and I want to come up with my own offers, I could throw that to my audience and they'd buy it like crazy, because all of that work that I had put in the front end, So that was like my second step of the journey. But then what ended up happening, man, was I remember when I wanted to launch my own thing, because a lot of people are asking me, how do you make your YouTube videos? And I was like, you know what? This one gal, Shalene Johnson, she said, if you get a lot of people asking you this one thing, turn it into like a course and sell it. So I was like, all right, let me launch my very first course, right? And so I remember when I was launching it, I was like talking about it online, like this thing's coming in like 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, right? I remember it was like the day before I was launching, and the MLM company that I was with was like, hey, if you launch that, you're going to be penalized. You could be kicked out, because they said, we don't want you selling how to make YouTube videos to our MLM company. I was like, I'm not selling it to an MLM company. I'm teaching people how to make YouTube videos. That's what they want. He's like, yeah, but you are like, I was higher up in the company there. I wasn't like the top dog, but I was probably, I mean, I was doing pretty well in there, right? A lot, like I was going to events and people were getting selfies with me. So like, that was pretty sweet. I'm just some like regular hairy dude from Northern New York. Like, who the hell cares about me? But some people did, right? And so anyways, I was about to launch that thing and I was like, are you shitting me? Like, network marketing is this whole thing about making your own income, right? And you're getting pissed off at me because I'm looking to make some more of my own income that has nothing to do with like directing toward this company. And they're like, yeah, if you launch it, you could be terminated. So I was like, okay, I've got a really big decision to make. So I remember that night I was sitting down with my wife, Kaylee, and I was like, look, like we got a pretty good income coming in from this company right here. I don't really plan on selling this course for a lot. It's just, I don't know. I'm just kind of getting into it, right? Like, I don't know what that looks like, but I was like, I don't really know what to do. But I tell you, I don't like it when people tell me how I can or cannot make my own money. And so we just sat there. I remember having the screen up, looking at it on the laptop, and it was like, if you want to cancel, you just got to kind of like sign, like with your mouse, sign it, right, digitally. So I remember looking at that, being like, we did like a pros and cons list, what would happen, and everything. And then finally I made a decision. I opened up that cancellation form and I drew probably the most massive penis I've ever drawn digitally. And that's how I quit that network marketing company.
Oh my! See, this is what I meant. This is what I meant by personal branding right here. Are you kidding me? What?
Big old veiny one, Quentin. I'm telling you, it was awesome.
And turned it in, and what? What happens then? Did you look for another one, or did you just launch this course and go independent? Or
I did. I launched that course, and it didn't make me a millionaire. Like I made, I think like $1,000 or $1,500, and I was like, whoa, that's kind of cool. I can make my own money with like from my knowledge, things I already know how to do. That's interesting, because with network marketing, it's like you're pushing this product that costs $100. You make maybe 25% of it, make it $25, right? Or your income's coming from your team performance. Some weeks are good, some weeks are bad. And so I was like, but with this, I can control this. Like, this is my own thing. That's kind of sexy. So I kind of put that on pause at the time. And I was like, I'm going to go join another company. And I made sure, I was like, look, if I join this, you guys aren't going to be down my throat telling me I can or cannot sell my own stuff. Like, you're good. So I blew that thing up, dude. I was I think I ended up becoming like the number 3 top earner in that company. And then my wife had a spot in there as well, and she was like number 10. So we were double dipping for sure. But that's just, I was like, hey, if you allow it, I'll build both businesses. I don't care. So yeah, that's what happened. I ended up just going all in on that company and wrecking havoc.
You know, it's funny. I found a post 3 or 4 years ago from you, and it was in a private group, so I'm not going to share it, but I also probably couldn't even find it if I wanted to. But it was a selfie. I think you were at either lunch or dinner with your girlfriend at the time, now wife, and I think it was thanking one of the MLM companies and just basically just saying, like, you know, I'm not thanking you guys for the money. Like, the reality was there's just no jobs up where we were. I'm thanking you for the opportunity, right? And the opportunity to get where I'm at. And this was like years later, so you had already made some things happen. And I just thought, I remember seeing that and go, wow, that's wild. Because I hadn't seen anybody say thank you in those groups before. Like, actually say thank you. You know, it was more like, I made my first 1,000. I did this. I did that, which I don't think any of that's bad. You know, I think that's all great that people are having these transformations. But you took the time to just go like, this is my story, you know? And it was like, we're hard workers, but there's just no jobs where we are in the woods. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do? Right. And you obviously found a way to make that happen. So then so how about this then? What shifted in your mind when somebody started telling you what you can and can't do? Obviously, you found a different MLM where a little more clear with them. I'm going to do my own thing here. Don't try to stop me. Or are you guys going to? If so, I can't be here. But they obviously said yes. Was that course, did that happen to be Misfits, or did that come along down the line?
That was, I called it Birdshot, and I don't know why, but basically my nickname is Bird. Shot was like the video shot, you know, and so I was like, Birdshot, that's clever. It's not really that clever, but that was it was just a simple course, like how to make your own videos and basically put them on YouTube and get ranked, right? A lot of people were loving those videos. So that's really what that was all about. That wasn't Misfits, no. But there's another part of the story if you want to keep going.
Please keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, you know, I'm in this company, this new company, and word's getting out. Hey, Trey Bear had left and he's joining this new company. And there were people in the previous company just bashing me, dude. Just like saying nothing but bad things. And there was, I'm going to tell you this one quick story. There was this one girl that just was ragging on me. She's like, yeah, he joined some pyramid scheme. You know, it's something to do with like a wine business that I was with. So I went from fitness to wine, right? Because a big thing in network marketing is you got to be duplicatable. I'm like, who can't drink wine? So that's like perfect, duplicatable, right? So anyways, all these leaders were bashing me like crazy from the previous company. And I made a post. I was like, hey, how I know that I'm doing well and that I'm like the reason that I'm recruiting so many people is because of all these leaders who are talking smack about me. Please keep doing that. This is great traffic for me. I loved it. I would just have every day signing people up. I was like, this is great. Keep it up, right? But there was this one gal. I don't know why I have to tell this, but there's this one gal. Her name was Jatana. And boy, she really was ripping into me, into this, like, to her team. I saw the video she was making about me. It, like, leaked out. And so I went to see, like, who is this chick? I typed in, like, her URL, JatanaLastName.com. I was like, man, it's not even there. There's no name here. So what I did was like, she should have her own URL. Let me go buy that for her. So I bought her own domain name. And then, then what I did was I made it so it directed to my MLM page. So everybody, she ended up doing really, really well. And like her name was getting out there. And when it did, people go type her name and it'd bring it right to my MLM page. Awesome traffic for me again. Like this is great.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't know if I should be sharing these like stories, but I don't know. But anyways,
these are the scrappy things, you know, that people don't, people need to think of, right? Yeah. So it's like in marketing, a relatively decent trick is if there's complicated words you're trying to rank for, like purposely misspell them. Now, it's really hard to explain to a client that I'm purposely spelling the word information wrong, you know? But then when you show them like, dude, our cost per click is literally 2 yen per click, which is like 1.2 cents. Like you can't argue at that point, right? And you go, we're not going to do this forever. I'm just trying to scoop it up. Scoop up the traffic, and then we can obviously change that correctly. And that's really hard, especially there was one time, I can't remember the word that I misspelled, but it was right in the headline. And I misspelled the word, I published the page, and it started converting for the first time. And then I had to go back, I had to go to them and I had to go, here's like a weird thing we got going on here. Do you want to spell the word correctly? Not a problem with me. You tell me what to do. Or do we want this thing to convert? Now I've spent X amount of hours trying to get this thing to convert, and it was an accident. So we can go down this road. And of course they were like, do it for X amount of time. And then we'll, you know, so we don't look like morons, we'll switch back there. But it was just the reality that that's scrappy. That's clever. It's definitely not illegal, you know, but I mean, you didn't go out and headhunt her or chase after her in that way. It was like kind of the opposite. You're like, well, shoot. Do you still have that domain? I have to ask.
You know, because like years later, I get a call from compliance from the company that I was with, and they're like, "Hey, do you know this Jatana gal?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, Yeah, I do. They're like, look. Like you're doing fine in the company. We understand what happened previously. Give her domain name back. And I was like, I don't want to though, because I'm immature, you know. So yeah, I ended up
Oh
giving
my
it back
gosh.
to her though, and it is what it is. But yeah, I think now looking back, I'm like, that was just dumb. I was just being stupid. But to continue on, so what happened was I was in the company and I was really getting sick of like the whole strategy of like send out a bunch of prospecting messages and do all this stuff. And so I had built a pretty good brand where people were discovering all of my content, but I had no way of like collecting them as a lead, right? And so like I started hearing more about offering like a lead magnet and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's a really good idea. And so I put like together a lead magnet. I think it was like a 7-day like fat loss thing. Or then actually I was that's one of the things I did in the weight loss one. But in the wine one, I was like, I don't really want to talk about wine. So I started just giving tips about making money online, right? Social media tips, overcoming objections, just basically stuff like that. And then I had a lead magnet for there as well. And that started bringing in people like crazy. But I needed a way to see who was like just wanted valuable tips to help them, or who was actually interested in joining the team and making money alongside with us. And so I just made a couple edits like that. But what I found was like, you know what, this is a really simple way to generate leads without me having to go out and talk to people. I was like, this is really, really cool. And so I just rode that wave for another couple of years of just create content, putting people to go get my lead magnet, have an automated lead generating system working for me in the back end. And I, again, was like, it wasn't hard for me to recruit and sell stuff because I had that thing working for me so well. It was just oiled up, primed up, going. And so I had a bunch of people come to me being like, can you help me set that up as well? It's like, sure. Right. And so I was like, I don't really want to like create a course on this because like, I don't really know what I'm doing that much, but I can do it for you for free. I was like, I'll do it for you for free, kind of like hammer out the kinks to figure out like what works, what doesn't work. And I ended up doing it for like 5 leaders and they were like, dude, this thing is sick. I am like, it's so easy to talk to people. By the time I do talk to people, they're already sold on everything. Like, this is a much more easier, natural way of doing business. And so I was like, all right, well, maybe what I'll do next is I'll start like a beta group. I was like, let me run a group of people through this to make sure that I can teach them to do it. I can do it. Cool. Can I teach other people to do it? Right. So I ran about 20 people through a beta group and they all loved the shit out of it. They're like, this is a much cooler way of doing network marketing where it's not like go hound your family and friends and make really weird posts online. And so I ended up launching that as a course, and that's what Misfits was. And then I learned from there, I have this course, but how do I sell it, right? And so I was like, I need like a selling mechanism. And there's tons of different ways now. I mean, there's challenges, workshops, closed calls. I went with the webinar model. That was back in like 2019. 2019. And I just hammered that like webinar, and I did it every single week. And at first, it really like if you've ever ran a webinar in the past, like there's a lot of tweaks and shit you got to like really go through to see where people are falling off or why it's not converting. So yeah, we worked that out for probably 6 months of being like what is it that's not working? And finally, like one thing worked, and it was just like it just took off. And so that's where I fell in love again with like, holy shit, like it is so much more fun making your own money. It doesn't like, because I was like late at night, like wondering like what would happen if a company closed down, what would happen if a leader leave and my whole income just kind of dropped. So that was that like income stability right there for me to like, I can have my own thing and people either can buy my trainings, join the team. And so I had them working together. It was awesome.
That's actually where I came across you was the Misfits, and it was for somebody I was working with and I was working for. Hey, now there's my German Shepherd going crazy. I hope you can't hear him. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I came across the concept, and I was like, this is brilliant. Yeah. Like, it's like brilliant. Like, here's the pitch. Here's a short version, guys. Here's the pitch. You're going to have to get leads. You're going to have to sell products. You're going to have to recruit people. You're going to have to do all of that. Or You could just like literally push a button and copy my exact landing pages, my exact scripts. Just take out Trey and put Quentin. Like, and it was like, whoa, this makes, what did Russell Brunson call it in his book? I think he called it like the Clone Wars or something, like the duplicate thing.
I remember.
I think it was Network Marketing Secrets. I found that book from you, and I ended up reading that, bought it, and I actually remember messaging you like, dude, how have I never heard this book? Like what the heck? Read it, and it was talking about this, like duplicating yourself. Your entire thing was duplicate, right? And it was like, oh wow, dude, the concept, the sales pitch of this is join, push, copy, and have fun making videos. By the way, don't lie and be authentic and be your true self. Don't be an idiot. Keep learning along the way. That's like the whole thing, you know, instead of the other side of that is make those weird posts you were talking about. You know, it's like, this is just like a beautiful parallel way of going about it that made, that changed, I should say, reframed MLM from this weird, spammy, you know, recruit my friends from high school 10 years ago that I haven't even spoken to into this advantageous, hey, I got to help you as your leader anyway. Like, what if I could just duplicate the process and then, hey, if you need to talk with me, I'm available for you anyway. And then we both, am I missing something? We both win. Everybody wins. And then you recruit too. And now I win again. But you're winning because you're recruiting. And there's like, oh, wow. The only loss, which is probably what brought you to where you are now, with Cashflow Lab, right? And different things. Yep. With CoursePad, Digital Cashflow Lab. I knew I was getting that wrong. Digital Cashflow Lab.
Changed the name a little bit, but you're still on point. You're good.
Right. Is the only downside would be if the CEO said something stupid which embarrassed the company or degraded you. I think Krista Kiefer is another one that I know that she was like crushing with a crypto one. I'm talking like millions of dollars a month gone because of those crypto bans. That wasn't even illegal spammy company. That was just a change of regulation. And it was like overnight gone, right? And then I think she had a different one where there was like a CBD one where there was another same thing, regulations, you know, and I'm sure wine had its own regulations and compliance that you were involved in here. But the only downside could be, right, if the top echelon of the company, the platform owners, make mistakes. Yeah. Walk me through that realization that you had.
So, dude, that did happen to me. I did lose all of that income. So my wife and I, well, she's my fiance at the time of this story. So we were like out shopping for our wedding day. So it was like one of the best days of my life. I was like, oh, like we get to go out and shop and get all this cool stuff. And we're out to lunch. I'm having a beer. She's having a glass of wine. I'm like, this is just awesome. And I get this phone call from my like top leader. And she's like, hey, I just want you to hear it from me first. I'm leaving. And I was like, oh shit, right? Because she was a top leader. She had some influence in the company as well. And a lot of people looked up to her and her guidance and stuff like that. Like she was a good person, right? And so I was like, this is going to take a huge hit in our income. And so I ended up asking her, I was like, what, why? Like, what's going on? She's like, I'm just not making the type of money I want to. I was like, okay, can't be mad at that. It is what it is. Like, people come and go in the industry, and it's like, I can't say, you suck, shame. You know, I can't do that. So some people do. So I was like, I get it. Let me help you kind of exit, and we'll do it the right way, and we'll go from there. And so she ended up leaving, and she took a big majority of the people from the company and my team as well with her. And there's nothing I could do about it, right? It's like, this is what it is, right? I gotta deal with this. And so I hated that. I truly hated, I didn't care that she had left. I hated that my income, all the things I had built over the last few years was taken away because someone just was like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? So it's like, that's not cool. Luckily, I was making extra income with my own courses, but that was such a massive hit. And I was like, oh, all right. So I, reached out to a mentor, and I was like, what do I have to do here? He's like, you got to go and recruit. You got to hustle. You got to rebuild a whole new team. And I was like, all right, sound like hold my beer. So I went out for like the next year and just rebuilt that team, got the income back up. And I remember what happened was another person who was a big leader of mine messaged me and said, "Hey, I'm leaving." I was like, "Why?" And she said, "Well, there was some drama with this other teammate." And I was like, "So figure it out."
Yeah, and
Yeah, right. And she's
Yeah.
like, "Well, I don't want to deal with it." I'm like, "Well, then don't. I don't care." So she ended up leaving, and again, the same thing happened. And I was like, ah. And I just remember my dad saying, like, I told my dad, I was like, "Yeah, this is something I got to deal with. Like, this just sucks." I was just gonna go out there and rebuild and just kind of go on a hustle mode. Like, I was like, I gotta go on like a 90-day sprint where I don't even like see my son for the day. I'm just basically from the time I wake up until I go to bed at night, like I'm just gonna be rebuilding. And he said something that stuck with me. He goes, "Well, I get that it's part of the industry, but like, don't you get sick of that?" And I was like, "Yeah, Dad, I'm so sick of this. This sucks." And I was like, "Well, you got to do what you got to do, but I know I'd hate it." And I was like, "You're right." And so that's when I was like, I'm going to turn up the steam on this whole Misfits thing and really scale this to the damn moon. And I did that because I was so sick and tired of the up and down months. I was so sick of like I don't mind putting in the work, but I don't like it when someone else does something that affects what I've done, right? And so I just went all in on selling that course. And there were months that it was like 60K months. And I was like, this is ridiculous, right? It was awesome. So I truly fell in love with monetizing your own knowledge, building like a bulletproof system around your business where you can still monetize from MLM. Like, I'm not bashing it, but I have seen so many leaders have stuff taken away overnight from the company closing, changing their compensation plan, leaders leaving. And it's like, I've been pulled recently to be like, should I go help those guys? Because like, I feel like that's kind of where I've gone through it. I know what it's like. I know what to do. And I can help those leaders so they don't have to stay up awake at night wondering about that. And so that's something that I've been kind of wondering, like, is this the angle I want to kind of go down? Everyone out there right now in this world, in the online make money, is talking about making money with courses, right? So like for me to like come in here, it's a whole big red ocean, right? I'm fighting for clients, everything, right? Whereas what I could do is go into this blue ocean with this like niched down industry and just focus on helping network marketers create their own thing that they can monetize and build alongside with, again, as that protection around their business. So that's something that I'm recently kind of being like, I wonder, you know?
Are you talking about with Digital Cashflow Lab? Like swinging a little bit back into that?
Yeah, just more focused of like, you know, we've been working with clients and it's been great. But like as of lately, every single client that has come to me has been a network marketing leader saying, I want help running ads. I want help building my own thing. Help me sell this thing. And so I'm kind of taking that as like a sign being like, it's a pretty good, maybe that's where I want to kind of dive into that, niche down, make a couple million, and then kind of grow my brand. And then like, it's like, oh yeah, Trey's the guy to go with making courses, selling them, coaching programs, all the things.
Now let me double click on this real quick, because you know a lot more than I do about this. But let me share as brief as I can here, because me and you have gotten, you know, it's kind of, like I said, it's been in and out. Yeah. Before Cody Sanchez hit the scene, right, retrospectively realized that every business I've ever owned and run and that has done well, I bought. I either bought or bought into. Didn't realize that, right? So a brand was the first one, and I bought a pre-existing, basically the intellectual property of it, kind of built a little bit of a cult following out in the area. Partners, it is what it is, right? And then a restaurant, bought the restaurant, you know, with High Tide Corporation, you know, that we work together with that, bought into equity based on, you know, like, this is what we're going to be doing. This is the plan we're going to be putting together, right? But this was all retrospectively. And this started like a long time ago. I literally went to Amazon, and I'm going to bring this full circle. I promise it's going to make sense. I went on Amazon and I typed in how to buy a business, and a little book came up called The Dirty Little Secrets of How to Buy a Business That Everyone is scared to tell you. No one has ever heard of it. ever. It's a print-on-demand book by Arturo Enriquez. He's bought like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of book at the time, and then I ended up interviewing him later. It was like 60 different businesses in like 20 different industries, like massive. He's done well. Very little social media brand outside of LinkedIn. But it was retrospective. It was 10 years later that I was like, wait a minute. My nickname was Mr. Negative. I'm really good at looking at these systems that are pre-existing and finding the negative points that I need to adjust, which is why my friend Martin brought me into Burger Bear, which had 6 locations, because I looked at it and I go, dude, this aspect sucks. We have got to make this change. I didn't do the recipes for the hamburgers, or like, I have no heart with this. When we made handmade shakes, 95% of the shakes were Oreo. The rest was everything else combined. And we had like 30 different options for shakes. So Heartless Quentin comes in here and I'm like, hey, guess what? We are vanilla, we're chocolate, we're Oreo, we're strawberry. I want to steal the logo for Snickers and Payday. And that's the only reason why those are on there. So now I have vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, Oreo, Snickers, and Payday. Now those 2 bottom ones were so rare it didn't affect the workflow anyway. Oreo was 95, excuse me. I just wanted those logos on the menu, right, which no one ever called or complained about, thank God. But nevertheless, it was like, when I told Mark, do you know how many phone calls I would get from him, angry, like, what are you doing with the fish burger? What are you doing with the shakes? Dude, we are Burger Bear. Breakfast, burgers, fries, and shakes. You can't do, and it was like, no, you don't understand. It takes 5 times longer than even to make a shake than a burger. Can't do this. And just like streamlining the shit out of it. And I could go into so much detail about this. Okay, double tapping on what you had said here. With all of that context, with insurance, you get the number and you can actually, people sell their insurance company even if they are kind of like a fork off or a branch off. In network marketing, right, are you able to sell your downline?
Yeah.
Do you own the equity in the downline?
So I remember when I actually technically still am with this company. We still get paid from them. But I haven't built it in 4 years, you know? And the upline had said, hey, look, I know you're not building this, but I'd like to buy it from you. And I was like, let's talk, right? And so we kind of looked at the numbers, and she's like, I'm willing to give you a 6-figure deal for it. And I was like, that's not bad. I try to get a little bit more, but we settled on a 6-figure deal, right? And so, yeah, you can absolutely sell that. And that's one argument people make is, well, if it's not a business, why can you sell it? I don't want to go down that route, but you can absolutely sell that. That is an asset that you can sell. And I know other people who have sold positions because it's like, it's making this money already. I can go buy that, right? We didn't end up closing on it. I think she wanted to like put her aunt or something in that spot. She's like, no, you can't have a family member in there. So she didn't end up buying it. So it's like, all right, well, worst case scenario, it's still making me a little chunk of money, but it is what it is.
The reason why I asked that is it's fortunate there's no MLMers that like listen or follow me. Relatively speaking, I would assume. This is what I would do if I were you. Take it with a grain of salt, throw it away, never think about it again. Totally fine. Totally get it. But what I'm hearing here is all of these guys are coming to you anyway, and they're pretty damn good at what they do. So don't make them clients, make them partners. Take a down fee to work with you, but then you get whatever, 10% and 20% of the downline that you bring in residually. Okay? Do you see where I'm going with this? So you're still in complete control. Now, could they destroy 5% if once you grow this of your business a little bit by doing something stupid? Yes, but it's such a minimal point that the buy-in to work with you would have paid for that anyway. Does that make any sense? So you got a down payment, and it's like, I'm taking 10%, 20%. Now, you've done this. I think you were the top recruiter. I won't say the name of the company, but you were the top recruiter. Like, you've got the award. You've been there. You've done that. You've got the t-shirt. And then you digitized it. Then you digitized it. So it's like, hey, I want to do this for you, right? But it's either going to cost 100 grand up front or whatever. Just ignore all numbers. 10,000 down, and I'm going to take between 10 and 20%. Well, Trey, that's a heavy steep, man. I'm in this thing so that I can own my own business. I don't want to give 10 to 20 away. You go, great. What did you recruit last month? And you go, whatever, 5, 10 people. And you go, okay, cool. Well, here's my year 400 people, right? And that's how much it is usually. Now, you can still get those 5 people on your own, but everything that I do in here, what if you got those 5 people plus my 15 people? Mm-hmm. Is that worth that? I can triple your thing. Does that make any sense? So you're covering your upfront.
I know what you're saying.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. That might not even be an option, but that's immediately where my head went to go, dude, you should not make them clients and you should make them partners, because obviously they're good at what they do and clearly you are too. Yeah. And then you would have a little piece, whatever company they're in. I don't even know if that's compliant.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing is, like, we do something similar to that, but it's not with network marketing.
Sure.
Because again, I don't have control over that, and I want to have control of my money. So what we do now is, like, when people come to me and they say, hey, Trey, I need you to help me run my ads, help me build out my offers, help me put into some sales funnels, all that stuff. Absolutely. It's either this amount, or now what we do is it's a down payment and a paid performance deal. So where I do have that 20%, 10%, whatever the deal may be, and everything that I do that comes through what I do, I get a chunk of it. Now, we only do that for if you have a good bulk offer. Like, I'm not going to say, hey, let me take 20% of your $47 offer. I don't want anything to do with that, right? But if you have a good 5K, 10K package, then I'm all about that.
And that's what I guess your micro offer masterclass would be, if someone had the $47 offer that's like, hey, check this out instead.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah, we do micro offers. We're doing a lot of cool things. I actually just stumbled across another strategy last week that I'm like, you know what? Like, rather than being that guy is like, is this going to work for me? Go test it out. Go see. Right? And so I've been testing out this new strategy, which goes against what I've been preaching, but I kind of like it. And I'm like, this is kind of sexy.
Am I allowed to ask what that is?
No!
Ah, dang it. No, I'm like so curious on what this is.
No, it's dude, it's actually working out really, really well. So we have a higher ticket offer at the end, right? And so, like, this is like my core offer. It's getting people into, it's no longer digital cashflow lab. It's freedom and scale. Freedom and scale, right? And so the goal is to get as many people into freedom and scale as possible. What I was doing low ticket offer that was paying for my ads. So I was like, we can run this all day long, ain't no thing. Upsells, all the thing like that. Yeah, that's a little bit of profit right there, and nothing to really go crazy about. But then all those customers, we're sending them into our core offer, which is about $5,000, right? Which has been going pretty well. I've had a couple people doing it. And so I saw this new strategy, and I'll tell you what it is, okay? So this new strategy that I just found from this guy named Eric Hoffman, right? He's this really cool, humble guy. I don't know where the hell he's from, somewhere over in Europe. But he just kind of tells it how it is, and I appreciate that. And so he's like, look, it's not about, because you know most people are like, if they download a free offer, they're not going to go through it. And he's like, then make them go through it. And he's like, you can give them free, valuable information and push them to go through it so that by the end, the way that you position it is it creates demand for the thing you want to sell at the end. And I was like, so basically like a webinar, right? He didn't say that, but basically his strategy is make a free offer. And then what you want to do is he calls it the cat and mouse. The cat is the person chasing, like the cat, mouse, and cheese. So the cat is chasing the mouse is chasing the cheese, right? So I like this analogy, but basically it's like the mouse is trying to get to the cheese, the prize, the reward at the end, and the cat is trying to chase them. So it's like the mouse has to go for it. It can't stay stuck, or else the cat is going to get him. But on the other side, it's like, I want that cheese. I want that reward. And so basically his strategy is have a free offer with like a 5-day mini training series or 3 to 4 different videos. And if they complete each one, they get a reward at the end. They have 5 days to complete it. If they don't, they get booted. So they don't get the trainings and they don't get to be a part of that free community. And dude, I really like it. I just launched it last night. And we've got people going through it, and I'm like, usually with a free thing, like yeah, cool, I'm learning a lot, but whatever. I've had every single person go through that and be like, dude, this is blowing my mind.
Is this like when you say reward, you mean like they get charged money for not completing it, they get booted and they can never come back? Or
yeah, so it's like,
what is the cheese?
The cheese is you get this like awesome like video training that you really, really want at the end.
So you're unlocking more. Got it.
So as you go, it's really cool, and I don't mean to like nerd out on you and your audience, but
please.
It was really, really neat. Like going through his, like how he was doing it, I was like, basically what I saw as a marketer was he took the webinar and shifted beliefs through each lesson. And I was like, holy shit, that is kind of cool. And,
okay.
So I've been doing that. And I like it because the way to unlock each lesson is you have to like submit a form. Like, here's my biggest takeaway. Here's what my challenge is. That is marketing gold for us to hear, like, what blew them away? What are they like best? And like, what are they getting hung up on? If you know what they're getting hung up on, it's like, ooh, just add that to the training.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, so that was going to be the next question is like, how are you knowing? Well, you're giving them homework.
Right.
That's required to be submitted. And if, hey, sorry, you're out. Peace. Right. You're never coming back. That's so crazy. Eric Hoffman. I'm gonna dive into that.
Yeah, dude, go into it. It's really, really neat. And like, he does some really good trainings. Like it's not the guy's not bad at what he's teaching. It's really, really smart way, because that first training, it shifts their belief. So if we're talking about Misfits, the whole like belief is, I'm just gonna go send more messages. And I'm like, no. Here's what you gotta do. And so they get that and they're like, oh my gosh, that is such a much better way of building. But what is the internal belief, right? Then you hit them with that next lesson, like, oh my God, like, dude, that was awesome. And then external belief. And then by the time they get to that, there's your offer.
So then let me ask then, like, just so I can understand a little better. Yeah. Maybe in practicality, what this could look like in terms of like Misfits or something along those lines. For you, it would be something like, cut me off anytime, because I don't want to share the secret sauce or anything. But generally speaking, you want to turn your MLM process into digital recruitment. That's kind of the bottom line, right? Okay, cool. You need to get over the fact that you're not techie. So your first homework thing today is finish this landing page and submit it. Whatever. Then the second day is like record your own version from the script of of your own recruitment webinar case study type video, and then submit it. Is that kind of what you mean?
So here's how I did this, right? So I took the Misfits thing because I was like, well, let's just test this out, because
sure.
I don't want to be like, hey, I heard of this cool idea, now I want to sell it as a training.
Yeah,
like you got to prove this shit first, right? So I was like, well, let's take that offer that did really well, and let's break it up. And so the first training is it's shifting the belief of, actually, I made a twist to this, to the new Misfits thing. I think you'd be excited about this. So basically, the first training is a shift from, I have to send out these prospecting messages. I'm like, no, get this system to do all this stuff for you, to generate the lead, to nurture the lead, and close the lead, right? And so they're like, oh, that's awesome, but I probably have to have like a big following, or I probably have to be an influencer, or I probably have to post endless content to fill that system, right? And so the next video, I'm like, I tell that story about how I thought I had a big following, I thought I had to have all this stuff, but really what I could do is, now that I have that system in place, I can just run an ad to it. And now what most people are saying is, well, I can't afford the ad, right? And so that's where I say, throw in an upsell. It'll self-liquidate that offer so that you're able to generate those leads, perfect prospects, every single day. They see that and they're like, holy shit, man. That's wild. I can literally be generating leads all day long, not having to post, and I'm running ads to it, and I'm self-liquidating that cost.
So the cat and mouse is kind of like leaving breadcrumbs, but requiring them to actually pick it up to get to the next one, so that eventually they can go, oh, like there's a path to this thing. It's not just random breadcrumbs I'm picking up. Got it.
So it's not like, I'm not like, okay, today I want you to build out your funnel. tomorrow I want you to create your ads. That's not the homework assignment. The homework assignment is just simple. What was your biggest takeaway? What is your challenge? Like, what do you think, like, what's holding you back, right? So you're collecting all of that data. They're unlocking the trainings. And again, you're creating that demand for the thing you want to sell at the end. At the end, I'm like, hey, do you want me to help you build out your offers? Do you want me to help you with your ads? Do you want me to give you the actual funnel? And they're like, oh.
Yeah, of course. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a twist on the challenge, on the challenge funnel. That's wild. That's brilliant too. I'm
just
really
testing out. I don't know. But so far, I'm like, I can see how this will crush.
Yeah. I can too. I mean, even just picturing it in my mind. So then let me stretch your brain a little bit.
Sure.
Just briefly, how would you apply that to, I'm this close, brother, from buying a cleaning company.
Oh, yeah?
Okay? I'm like this close. Well, so once I had this retrospective realization that this is what I've done all the time, it was like, what if I actually did this on purpose? Right? That's why I ended up getting into the restaurant in the first place. He ended up dying, sold to a Korean group later. Well, we ended up moving to the stateside immediately after that anyways. So it was like, what am I going to do? Well, why don't I actually like purposely do this time? Okay, so I'm this close to doing it. Why? Every time I came here, whether it was for 4 months, 6 months, for the last 10 years, every single individual I've ever spoken to ever has complained about their cleaning company and can't find a good one. Or it's like, whatever. It's just like, there's so many different things to it. So I'm like, there has got to be a balance that like $100 million offer has to be possible to be formulated. Because if everyone's telling me like they don't do a good job or they're late or like there's just like all fixable problems coming from everyone, including my parents, by the way, they were like, I can't find blah, 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 blah. There's none of this. And I was like, okay, cool. How could you find this process? Good Lord. It's one of those days, man. How could you do that process? What would you do in terms of this cat and mouse for them to get like in a service side of things? What, like off the top of your head?
I don't know. The way that I just took the webinar model, you know how they attack vehicle, internal, external. I just took that and threw it down. So I don't know, because I don't know the cleaning. I don't know what this service provides other than cleaning, but like, are you looking to buy a cleaning business, or are you looking to have people come in and clean for you? Like, what is the difference here?
Sorry, yeah, I would buy it and then I would restructure it with a real offer instead of the standard $120 bi-weekly. We come mop. Like, it would be like, I would redo this whole thing. So it would be a hybrid between a standard cleaning company, which is exactly what you imagine. We sweep, we dust, we clean, we mop, we whatever, wipe your counters, and like full estate management, which actually will like change your light bulbs when they go out, you know, with whatever. It would be like a mini hybrid of that, where, does that make any sense? Where it would be like, but it would also be a lot more, not more money per clean, but a lot more per year to do this type of offer that I've been tweaking and whatnot. But yes, I would buy the company and restructure it to be a proper business model rather than, again, $100 per clean. We do downstairs, we skip it, and it's like, there's nothing there.
So there's two sides of it. The first side of it is, as someone who's like, I want to hire someone as a cleaner, I'm probably not going to sit through a training and be like, how do I get to hire a cleaner, right? Like, I'm just not. But if you're looking at it as like they make money by buying cleaning businesses, then I can absolutely see how you could use that model to sell this and be like, hey, this is how you buy cleaning businesses to make money and without having to do this, this, and this.
How would you do it? So if I already had the cleaning company for clients, like maybe it's not on a digital side of things, but maybe it's like the homeowner themselves, right? Our client. Like, how would you turn that from the digital world to the? I mean,
is this local?
Yeah, let's pretend for now. Yeah.
If it's local, then I'd probably run ads to that local area. And is it something that they can just book a call with you?
So that's the thing here, right? Is they're booking a call. A sales manager is going out. It is required to have a walkthrough of the house.
Yeah.
Is it an 8,000 square foot house? Is it a 3,000 square foot house? Big difference, right? Like surface area just alone. But also expectations between a 3,000 3-bedroom 2-bath versus like a 5-bedroom, 6-bedroom, 6-bath type home. Totally different. So consultation, but I mean like what would be the cheese for that person?
Sure.
Because most of the time, right? Because you're getting me thinking about the blue ocean versus the red. The red ocean is basically like you do the consultation, you walk them through, they either buy or they don't. You close a certain percentage of them and then they become your MRR reoccurring clients, right? And it's just an EFT payment and we clean and we do our thing. But like, what would be a cheese after that consultation that you go, we're here, but
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Again, I just learned about this last week.
I hear you.
I'm going to test this out, right?
I hear you.
But I think if I had that cleaning business, I would do what you're saying. I would run an ad to that local area, and they would book a call, a consultation, come out, look at everything, make an assessment, and give a price. And that's probably how I'd run it. But again, I have no experience in local stuff.
Yeah, I hear you.
So
I hear you. I was just hoping that maybe get something in terms of this service, because translating some of this into physical, like we did a lot of that actually with Burger Bear in terms of streamlining it. Like I said, my background was I was never in the restaurant industry, but I just came in here and was like half the menu's gone. It's like, why? Well, okay, I can tell you why. I'll hold a stopwatch and watch you deliver these things, and then I'll just show you and go like, do you see how much longer it's taking? And you lose money, like, anyway. But so then give me more detail about where you are now with so you had talked about that specific offer kind of that you're testing at the moment, but like after all of that backstory, like what do you guys actually do now?
So now, like, I've been doing a lot of done-for-you work where I hire people to help me build out these things while I'm, like, sitting back and I'm like, let's map out your offers. So, like, right now, we only have, like, a handful of clients who are paying me every month to help them sell their stuff. That's where we're at. Now, with that, I'm like, it's good. Like, the money's good. I don't mind it. But, like, I'm in this for freedom, right? We're coming out of winter right now after, like, 8 months. So I've got the itch to be like, I want to be outside with my kids. I want to be out in the garden. I want to be four-wheeling, on the boat, all the things, right? The last thing I want to do is be tied down to a laptop and help them build out funnels and all that stuff, which is great. And it's helping the clients big time, but it's not allowing me freedom. I'd rather have freedom than a whole bunch of money and then I'm just sitting here all day long and I can't see my kids. So we are launching this new thing where we still have freedom and scale, where we're helping people and I'm coaching people through it. I'm giving them the assets. Here are the funnels. Here are like I would do all your ads. Here are the emails I would throw in here. Here's the whole strategy. Like I'm giving that to them, but I'm coaching them on that, right? So we have done for you or coaching. Now, like I mentioned earlier, like that whole issue of having the company, I don't know if I even said this, but that company, that wine business, they ended up closing the doors, right? They ended up leaving. They ended up like, hey, we aren't profitable anymore. And it was really tough for us because we had gone from making a ton of money with that down to barely making hardly anything with it. And I was like, if I didn't have these digital courses going off, we would be so screwed right now. We'd be so screwed. So, I don't know. I've been kind of feeling pulled to help network marketing leaders like create your own thing. So it's basically doing what I am doing right now, but in the network marketing niche, only top leaders. Like I don't want to work with people who are like, I can't get a sale. Not for you, learn how to get a sale, learn how to market. But for the people who, they're making $5K, $10K a month and they want to invest in like building their own brand, monetizing their brand, having their own thing. Yeah, I think I'm considering going down that route with them. So that's where I'm at right now. So helping them with self-liquidating offers, their own offers, building out those funnels, having them build out their funnels. They can obviously hire us if we want to do it. But showing them how to do this so that they can monetize their own thing, bulletproof their business.
Where did health come into this process? When you kind of, I know you've run a marathon in the past. That's right. I'm on your email list, Trey. I remember that email. It was a well-written email too. You're looking
Thanks,
in the mirror, and when I read the beginning of it, I'm looking in the mirror and I looked like crap. I was like kind of suspenseful. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then it's like I felt great because I did it. By the way, it's a positive. I ran a marathon. Anyway, so but like, where does health come in on this in terms of? Because I think now everybody's talking about like biohacking and all that jazz. I don't really necessarily mean that. But I just mean like the difference between, somebody that takes care of their business and body versus someone that's not taking care of anything at all, and making that transformation. It seems like it all through your story kind of happened kind of together. Do you see that as interlocking?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I have noticed that you're doing 75 hard. Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That is such a massive mind. To me, it really helped fix my mind than it was my fitness.
Dude, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you forget to do your second workout, it's 11:30 at night and you have to get out of bed to go finish so you don't have to restart on day 35. True story. It's a lot easier to do that one thing you didn't want to do when you're like, yesterday I was up till 1 finishing my whatever. So I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, dude. It exposes who you are. It truly does. Are you an excuse maker? Are you someone who like starts something and then quickly ends it after that? Like but then after a while, like after you go through it, you're like, I can't quit. I can't give up. I have to do this. Right. So it's like, it's such a great program, dude. I got to like day 56 and my wife was on a trip. So I had both the kids and I did the morning workout before they got up, and I was like, all right, like I'm doing this. I was on like day 3, my wife being gone, and so I'm doing this. And then I was sitting down to do my reading. It was late at night, and I fell asleep. And I was like, son of a bitch. I was so mad. And I was like, I could just say I did it because I got like 5 pages in. But then I was like, no, that's not it.
That's the point. Yes. Right. Yes. Yeah. Dude. So, okay. Sorry. Keep going.
No. Like that was it. And I was like, I'm not going to bullshit this. Like I have to start over. Right. And so it exposes who you are and it really just reveals a lot about yourself. But with fitness, man, it was like a year ago. I was really overweight and I've been experimenting different things with my body as far as food, different workouts. What I have noticed my body really is like in line with is carnivore. It really is. And so we just started back on that because like, dude, I was like as someone who's like, I have to like show up and perform. Like I was like energized, everything. Right. So like meat it's hard at first, but then you're like, hey, this is kind of easy. All you gotta do is cook meat, So it's like, it makes it easier, but it is kind of hard. Cause like, but I want a cake. And so that's another thing. As far as the fitness though, like I have been getting back on that and you're right, dude. It's like, it's almost like when I have a day where I'm like, I mean, who hasn't had self-doubt? Am I doing the right thing? Is this really what I should do? Imposter syndrome rips in. What I have a rule now is go down in the basement and kick my ass. And that always snaps my mindset out of it where I'm like, yeah, okay, I was just being a little bitch. My bad. Let's go. All right. So working out, taking care of yourself, drinking water. Like if you just do that for the next 7 days, like with anything, like it's going to hurt a little bit if you haven't worked out in a while, but you will start to be like, you will show up different. You will act different. You'll be different. Right. So yeah, workouts are absolutely a big thing.
It really is. And it's funny. It just came out actually. Matt Drago, who's an actor guy, a 4th degree black belt. He was a pilot at age 14 years old. He literally was driven to the airplane hangar by his dad because he legally couldn't drive a car, but was about to have a solo flight in a plane, right? And you're like, man, my dog's today. This is just that day. Anyway, so yeah, man. But the thing that was interesting with me that he made me realize is the conversation of he was loving life. And when he loved life and he was in the dojo and he was, he'd been to Okinawa multiple times and trained with some of the grand masters and all that jazz. And he did better acting. So it's like you can't separate these things out. And I think that applies to health as well. And in myself, it's funny, I did Live Hard, which is the 4 phase last year of the whole year, whatever. Every single phase I had to start over at one point. And I was on day 16. I had to start over the first time I did 75 hard. And it was the same thing, dude. I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, selfie. No, progress pic. No. But it was the same thing. My sister, I think she's one of the only other people that I know that have finished it completely. I think she was like day 38 or something. She forgot a selfie. She forgot a progress pic, and she did, and she started over again. And it is exactly that. It's like, well, it's fine. And what's interesting is, for people who haven't completed it, when you bring this up or you mention this to them, they'll be like, well, and they'll start to do that. You'll notice the thought pattern. They'll start to do the justification. And you're like, you're missing it. You're not, if you did it and you're halfway, you're in the arena with me, I think you would agree with me. That's the point, right? So like, for example, right, one of the rules is if you have to ask or question it, it's probably just a no. Just like by default, just give it a no, right? So one of the things I started doing every Sunday night as my second workout, I do a full body deep stretch. Not yoga, but just like every muscle in my body. Now, there is probably down the line when I talk with Andy, he's going to be like, what? And I'm going to be like, dude, I never questioned it. Like, it was so necessary. It helped so much. Sure. I put the same time in, and it is not easy when you've done, 13 workouts in that week to do like full deep body. I'm not talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. I'm talking like 3 minutes, and like really going through the oh my gosh. But it goes parallel, and you can't get one without the other, right? Did you have a realization, or did getting involved, because I think the first one was weight loss, or kind of health conscious, did being in that environment get you into that mindset, or was it like a moment?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Because like we had to be proof of the product, right? Like, so I was like great shape, but I was also like just performing so much better. My confidence was through the roof. Like all aspects of life, if you just take care of yourself, you'll see like other areas in your life will shine. Your marriage will be better. Sex life will be better. I mean, like, it's just all the things will happen if you just take care of yourself, right? Your mood will be better. It's just, it's amazing. It's crazy that God designed us to where endorphins can be released through laughing or working out. It's amazing, So, I highly recommend it, obviously.
Yeah. Where does faith come in for you?
Oh, dude. Are you one of those Jesus freaks as well?
Of course. What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Jesus freaks with an occasional fuck every once in a while. Yeah, for sure.
No, so I started. Oh man, I don't know if you want to go down this route. This is a rabbit hole. This has to do with Corona stuff.
Do your thing, man. Do your thing.
So what? So I never grew up religious, right? Like I think I was baptized Catholic and all that thing, but other than that, never went to church. Never had anything to do with God or anything like that, right? Then so let's fast forward 36 years, right? Corona hits. Everyone's losing their mind. People are like, don't be close to me or I'm going to die mentality, right? And at first, like, I understand everyone was really freaked out. But then when you started to kind of peel back the curtains after the 14 days of everyone stay home and 6 feet of each other, I started really questioning stuff. Like things that they're saying online aren't really matching up with reality, right? And that was actually how I was introduced to Andy Frisella. This is his hat, by the way, which is awesome if we're talking about this. But I started being like, well, if we're going to be penned up all day, I'm going to go for walks and listen to a podcast. And that's where I found Real AF. And I was like, yeah, this guy is saying a lot of what I agree with. Like, and he's saying stuff that I never even thought about. And so it really opened up my mind. And so like when I started being like, wait a minute, the news isn't really the news. It's like a propaganda machine to make me think what I want to think. These guys over here want me to think this. These guys over here want me to think this. So weird. Then I was like, well, if the news is full of shit, what about our food? And I was like, wait a minute. Our food is filled with so many bad chemicals. Why is that? And I was like, oh, wait. our healthcare, our profit system there. That's full of shit too. And so all this stuff, I was like, am I losing my mind? Or like, holy cow, right? And I don't know if your listeners are gonna agree with anything I say, and that's okay. But it almost felt like everything was like really shined up in front of me, and then I was like, this is all evil. Like this is true like devil stuff. You see demonic stuff happening in the music industry, in Hollywood, literally demonic, satanic, stuff. And I was like, that really feels like the devil is real, and it's like really has his like grip on society. So if the devil's real, I wonder if God is real. All right. And so I just started questioning stuff, and I remember reaching out to a friend of mine. And I was like, hey, you're into this whole God stuff. Like, I don't know. I feel kind of pulled to learn more about it. Can you give me like a book to read? And she mentioned The Purpose-Driven Life. I don't know if you read that one.
I haven't, but wait a minute. Have I? No, I haven't, but I know of it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Warren, I can see the book right here. And what
I'm gonna write that down.
Am I here for? Is like kind of the thing. Purpose-Driven Life. So I read that and I was like, huh. Interesting. And I went back to, I was like, what's another book I can read? She hit me with another one and then another one. And I was really starting to like kind of understand this. And finally I was like, what's the best book you think you could give me? She's like, the Bible. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. I guess I'll start that. Yeah. She's like, that's a really good book. There's some really great stories in there. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so I was like reading it on my phone and everything like that. So then what happened was, I wanted to get out of the suburbs. We were living in like a kind of a city near Albany. It's in Saratoga. Saratoga is where it's called. When we moved back from North Carolina back into New York, we were like, we want to kind of live somewhere where there's a Target nearby, right? And so we lived in the suburbs, and I was like, look, with the world the way it is, like I want to get out of here. I want to get back into the woods. I want to like have my own, I want to grow my own food that's not filled with crap. I want to like have my own meat type thing. I have my own chickens and everything. And so I was like, why don't we stop renting and why don't we go build a house? So we worked real hard, saved up a bunch of money, bought some land, put whatever we needed for getting the house started, and we moved back up here. And when we moved, I remember when I was working out, I was doing 75 hard. Every single day, I was like, you know what? Let's just try to do this like prayer stuff. It felt really weird at first. I was like, I'm talking to air. And so I would just, this was before we bought land. Okay, so let me bring it back just a little bit. And so I was like praying. I was like, look, God, this is kind of what I want to do. Hopefully this works. Like, again, I was really getting into like beginner faith stuff, right? I was like, I don't know if you're real, but if you can hear me, like, this is what I want my life to look like, picturing all the things, right? And so I was saying to the T what I wanted. I was like, I want a big old plot of land, big lawn. I want to have a porch where I look out there and I can see my kids playing. I can see people coming up the driveway. I want my land to be next to a big hunting club where there's a path that goes to it, so I can be a part of the hunting club and not have to pay taxes on it. Like I was all like dialed in, right? And I was like, I just want to raise my kids right out there. And so anyways, now when we're about to go buy land, I told my dad, like, because we were like very against moving 3 hours north into the woods where I grew up. We were down near the city, right? So I told my dad, hey, look for some land. I think we're gonna try to move north. He was all excited. I'm on it, right? And so I'm thinking like 2 weeks, a month, we might find something. It was 2 hours. And he's like, I found you something. And we're like, well, let's just drive up and see what it looks like. We drove up there. Big old area for a lawn. And I was like, I want trees. When I come up the driveway, I want trees, right? 100-year-old trees, cedar trees, huge, right? Big old driveway, path to my right that leads to a hunting club. To the T, man. I was like, man, that's some wild stuff happening right there. Maybe this God thing is real. And then, my wife, she was like, I want to find a church. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready to go to a church yet. They do a lot of weird stuff there. People are falling around, fainting. I don't know if I'm about that life. She ended up finding this church, and it's just awesome. She went there for about 3 months, and finally I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. Kids, me, we all went, and it's been an absolute blessing. We're part of it. We're involved. I get a prophetic thing going on. They choose like 2 people out of the church every year. We got chosen, so I'm excited to see what that's like. But dude, we don't have time to go into the whole God stuff. But like, God has had His hand on me. I mean, longer than I can admit. Obviously, I'm so grateful that He was so patient with me to find Him. But I have really seen, looking back now, the last 5 years, how He's had His hand on me, my family, business, everything. And I'll have to tell that story another time, but it's a massive full circle moment where I'm like, wow, that is an awesome story.
It's funny. It's remarkable to me, and in different ways, of course, how many fairly well-off people that you would never guess, right? And some of them are more generic in terms of like, I'm spiritual, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, and I love the universe, and great. Mm-hmm. But generally speaking, it's remarkable to me. Almost everybody I've interviewed, like I had to ask you, but independently have brought up to a degree. I mean, I'm talking about like trusts and asset management and real estate subject to and relationship counseling and different people that I've connected with, and they're like, dude, this is not like casual. This is like this is part of my life. It is at the core of my being. And maybe I was raised that way. It's funny you say that because me, you asked me like, am I a Jesus freak, as well? And I would say to a large degree, yes, because my wife wanted to marry like a traditional missionary, right? Mm-hmm. And we actually met while studying abroad in the UK. And I remember when we got married, and this is actually why I didn't continue down the path of the wanderer when I started it. Now, I couldn't imagine, your first piece of advice was consistency. I couldn't imagine where I would be if I had one of the first podcasts in the world back in the day, right? Mm-hmm. But I got scared because like she was expecting to be with this like traditional missionary, right, literally walking through village to village with this, but I really felt, when we were going on whatever, we were in the car, my dad isn't listening to the radio, he's listening to Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I didn't realize how rare that was to watch our lives progress because he, with his mind, sales and entrepreneurship, and how rare that was. So God really was basically like, yes, you're going to be a missionary, but this is not going to look like what you think it's going to look like. It's going to look like what I want it to look like. Mm-hmm. And it basically, I always preface this, especially when I'm hiring employees, I say the same thing. I'm very aware every boss always says they care about your ideas. I am also aware that the vast majority of them are lying. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm very aware that almost every business owner or entrepreneur, the new thing is to talk about vision led or being a missionary in business. I am also very aware that most of them are either deluding themselves based on their actions or just like they're using that as like an authentic slogan. Right. Yeah. But when I say like I'm a missionary in business, I like really mean it. And I have the accolades to prove it. Right. It is remarkable to me how many people are in that same boat that I just did not expect, right? Yeah. Like at all, because there is a demonization of capitalism at the moment, and some of which rightfully so, right? Because there's a difference. There is no amount of money that someone can righteously make that I think is too much. But when you go and start changing laws to prevent other people from following your footsteps, or you start lying or manipulating or things like that, that's when you've crossed the line from providing a service for money to, now it's greed, right? And there's a huge, huge difference. And I think that bad taste in people's mouths, on top of it, puts those limiting beliefs in people about money or about work or business or what this even looks like in the first place. I've just been blown away, specifically the last couple of years, but just even in general, of some of the people that I've met when I would ask them, a guy worth $1 billion, what are the 2 things that got you there? He's like, dude, I'm not that smart. I have a great spouse who supported me, which was Napoleon Hill's, by the way, number one reason for failure of men. I pieced that together later. And then number two, my faith. And it was like, that's not what you hear about. What you hear about is the greed and the stealing and, you know, the cutthroat business and the manipulation. You're like, there's something here to that. But not just for me, for my whole family. And I can imagine it's the same way for you. It's not just Trey. It's like, no, it's Trey's whole family.
Yeah.
How do you stay grounded, like with everybody as a unit right now? Because everything is about, I don't even know, man, race, feminism, socialism. Like, how do you guys stay grounded?
I don't do it. It's not something I can care to even entertain. You know, people are obviously entitled to their own opinions and beliefs, but it doesn't mean I have to believe in it myself. Right? If you want to be a cat, go be a cat, but it doesn't mean I got to be a cat or I got to think that you're a cat, right? I don't know. All of this, honestly, so the previous 4 years, that really took a toll on me because I was very invested in what was going on, right? I saw stuff and I was like, this is BS. Like, this cannot, like, I was very open about, and I didn't care. I don't care if you don't agree with me. And like, again, you have the rest of your life to get over it. It's not anything between us, right? And so there's some people who just want to attack me for saying what I believe, and I'm like, block party, see you later, right? Not a big deal. But like all this stuff that's going on now, I'm like, don't care. I spent way too long and too much energy on like, oh my God, like this is awesome, this is awful, right? I couldn't control that. You know, but now it's like, I mean, I honestly, I don't mind the administration that's in right now. Some people, oh my God, I can't handle this guy anymore. I don't mind it, and but again, I'm not focused on it. Like I don't pay attention to Fox News, CNN, or anything like that. I don't mind it. My goal right now is business and serving people and pleasing God, and that's it. And at the end of the day, no matter what king or president that's in office, there's only one king, right? That's the ruler, and so that's who we have to please. So I truly don't care who's in office anymore. I'm just like, let me go do my thing. Just leave me alone. Let me go make money. Let me go make impact. Other than that, like, I'm good.
So, you know, I was mentioning the accolades. So there's a point to this. I actually have a presidential volunteer award, which is like, it doesn't matter. My only regret is that it's signed by Biden. That's my only regret, which is unfortunate because it's great to have a couple of them, but it's like, why couldn't you, dude? And I think one of them was like maybe 2 months. If they would have registered it 2 months later, it would have been, you know, under a different name. But it's like, come on, guys, you know, like you say that, but that's why I mentioned that because these last 4 years specifically, I think everybody just, you know, running Redline. Just ramping it up, even if it doesn't affect them, or maybe it does, because there are a lot of people that really were insanely, dramatically affected by 2020, you know, and God really sheltered me and my family, and I know for you as well, you had already made the move online, and there's just so many people that didn't, you know, but you're really now, people are kind of coming out of that red line, and they're able to breathe. Regardless of anything you think of, when I was living in Japan, I had multiple people text me at the end of last year, kind of that mid-November, December time, wink, wink, that had literally said, like, the air is thinner. Yeah. Like, literally messaged me. And I'm like, I didn't even ask you. I just asked how you're doing. Like, you know, we weren't even talking about it. And they're just like, the air is thinner. And that same phrase was used independently. People had no idea I was talking to them. Over and over and over again. And I remember going to my wife and going, we maybe, you know, our visa process is kind of one of those round stories that you said, like, later. It's mine. Dude, every delay you could think of legally, we were this close to breaking the law because it was like, dude, denying us medical, blah, 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 court cases, Johanna lies, she's a terrorist, like, just stupid nonsense. And so hard, 4 years. And then hearing that, the air is thinner, the air is thinner, the air is thinner. I look at Johanna and I'm like, maybe God protected us from being here because we quite literally skipped the last administration's craziness. Yeah. And then made it right after. Like, wait a minute, what's going on here, right? When you look back, can you see those same things in terms of
for sure.
This was horrible, but God was using that in this way?
So, dude, before, this is a wild story, and some people are like, dude, you're full of it, Trey. Like, that's cool.
Go for it.
Right. So, before COVID even hit, this was like the week before, I had this insane dream that rocked me out of bed and had me up. And I was like, oh, that was an insane dream. And the dream was, I had this message that they're going to implant this chip and they're going to control you. Yeah, they're going to try to put this thing in your body to try to control you.
Came close.
I was like, I mean, dude, I woke up and I was like, huh. And I looked at my hand like, is that in? Like, it felt so real. It was an insane dream. And then a week later, that hit. And I just kept thinking like, this doesn't seem right, what they're telling us. And yeah, I don't know. But that was one thing that I think, I truly look back now and I'm like, I wonder if God shook me right there to be like, here's some discernment for you. Here's how to tell if this is some BS that's going on, and help me out. I mean, dude, I did. I went on a full rampage. I bought thousands of ammo. I bought guns. I bought food storage. Like I went kind of nuts. And looking back now, I kind of went wild. But like it was a wild time back then, where our own governor was like, yeah, if they don't take this thing, we're gonna make them. We're gonna come door to door. And I was like, come to my door.
Yep. Dude, so it's funny, man. I'm gonna nip something in the bud in your own thinking process here, just a little bit that I can hear here, because I don't think the novelty people, because I wasn't stateside. I was in Japan and there was no internal lockdown. The best vacation I had ever taken in my life, me and my wife and her sister went to Kyoto in 2020. It was cheaper, less crowded, and freaking awesome. Skip Tokyo, go to Kyoto. Anyway, side note, right? They had like promotions because tourism was struggling, so we got like super discounts. Bro, it was freaking awesome. Everyone else, the world's going crazy. I'm having people tell me from headlines what Japan's doing when I lived in Japan.
Right.
And then argue with me, and I'm like, I don't care. I'm looking out my window right now. Okay.
Right.
With all that. People, I think, have brushed over the novelty of the wildness of that way too quickly and just moved on past it. So when you say like, I went a little crazy, you go, I don't know, man. I think if you weren't doing crazy stuff to other people, you were pretty normal, because your governor was telling you when you're allowed to walk outside of your house and when you aren't allowed to.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You're being told what you can or can't or must take and put into your bloodstream.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Right? So I don't agree. Like, I think it's the opposite. Like, literally the opposite. I'm like, whoa, people do not. I had a meeting with a guy that owns a nonprofit that has like a food bank in Okinawa, for example. And we sat down, and this was like 2 or 3 years later. I think it was like 22 or 23, one of those. And we're like, we're on an island. Like, we were closer to Taiwan than Tokyo. We're way closer to Seoul, Korea than Tokyo. It's like Hawaii, right? Is Okinawa. Dude, it could have got real weird, like Hunger Games weird, real quick. Because there's just, like, if the boats stop coming, if the shipments stop coming, like, it's going to get weird, right? I just think people brushed over it so quickly and just like move on, new administration, or move on this or that. And you're like, hey guys, wait a minute. Can we not?
Yeah,
it's like when someone says something crazy and you're like, whoa, you can't just brush past that. What are you talking about? It's like, we can't just forget that just happened, because...
Well, yeah, that's what they did too. I mean, it was like COVID, Ukraine.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know anything about Ukraine, which is totally fine. I don't care. But like, did everyone just witness the last 3 years of what they just did to us? And like, yeah, but Ukraine, blue and white, yellow flag, we have to support them. Like, we don't have to do shit. They just lied to us for the last 3 years, and now they're telling us this next thing that we have to be focused on? No.
Yep. And then it couldn't even stop at the Ukraine. It had to go to Gaza, Israel, right? So I had to just keep snowballing. By the way, nobody gets, excuse me, Christy Noem gets a free pass. I'm in here in Tennessee. I'm back, baby. I beat my court case. Bill Lee, I'm calling you out. Nobody gets a free pass. So people want to complain. Look, I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I'm pro-freedom, period. Right. Okay. Nobody gets a free pass, and I'll tell you why. New York is a different conversation. Back in the day, kind of in the late 40s, 50s, it was a swing state. It is what it is now. A liar's gonna lie. A thief is gonna be a thief. The frog got mad at the scorpion for being a scorpion. That old parable. In Tennessee, there has been a super majority Republican for almost 15 years. So all these new laws that we're making could have literally been constitutional amendments codified that could not be undone without another supermajority. This is before people flocking from Massachusetts, New York, and California into Tennessee. I apologize, but you just had to have a backbone and throw some really good ideas out there, and your supermajority pro-freedom party could easily have codified things and made them unrepealable and unchangeable and protecting your citizens. I don't want to do a circular firing squad or anything along those lines. That's not the intention. But I am watching way too many people get free passes, pretend like certain things never happened. And whether you're in Tennessee or not, those corporations should not have been, like Vanderbilt, St. Thomas, and those guys should not have been allowed to do what they did do. Full stop. And from a third party perspective, watching from outside, can say that. Because I'm watching the craziness like a fish in water. You can't always see that. Yeah. And it's hey now. And I don't think you're alone, man. I think a lot of people are stepping back and going, we just went from, pandemic to Ukraine to here. Wait a minute. What's the next one? And why are we doing this? What if I just zoomed out a little bit? What if I just not get myself sucked into this? What if I just make real changes in my life, the community around me, and I get involved with a church or a youth group or whatever, man?
But what I also appreciate, man, is how, I appreciate that Trump and Elon are going in on this right now.
For sure.
Whether you like them or not, I don't care. But you can't get mad that they're being hey, look at all this fraud that's right here. Which at the end of the day, you can't get mad about that.
No, you can't.
And again, you might not like the tweets, you might not like the policies and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, I do like someone who's I want to figure this shit out and expose all the bad stuff that's happened. You can't get mad at our RFK coming in there. He's already wrecking havoc with the health stuff. I love that. But I am able to sleep better at night knowing I don't have to really worry about what Biden's going to do now or what bullshit he's going to get us involved with. I don't need to worry about that. So there is a lot of peace in the air. It does feel less tranny in the air. I can tell you that.
And again, right? Live and let live. Do your thing, but just don't force these things upon me. And I think, look, if I had a little rant there, I apologize. I'd have way less sympathy if my government that I paid taxes for didn't put me through 4.5 years of hell and accusations and waivers and court cases that cost a lot of money. And even at a certain point, even my counsel, my lawyers are maybe you want to consider doing X, Y, and Z because this is going to be a long process. And it was hey, I don't think you guys get it. You're here because that's not a thing. That's not an option. So I just very little sympathy in terms of that because I just lived it and wanted to help and wanted to get involved and make real changes in a positive way. But meanwhile, the people that have the resources, so when you talk about Trump and Elon, getting involved and doing this, I'm all about not necessarily the personalities, the individuals, because I don't care if it would have come from Obama was the revolution candidate. That's why RFK originally supported him. That's why he wrote the foreword with Jesse Ventura in his book, because all of them were preaching this is a very real revolution process, right? I think Jesse Ventura's book was don't start the revolution without me. Now, what a lame duck these things turned out to be, but that's just my way of saying I don't care who it is. I care about what's being done here. I really do. And the business owners have got to stop giving capitalism and business a bad name. And I don't mean that in terms of like, not everyone has to be a Christian or even a Bible thumper or even, you know, be so anti-communism like me or so pro-freedom. I'm not a part of like the Libertarian Party, but like debatably, ideologically, I probably am, you know?
Sure.
You don't have to do that. But being a really good person, like, trickles down, right? Like, and helping or whatever that is, or getting involved in your community and not being in an ivory tower, people take note of that. People were taking screenshots with you, right, at the MLM. Why?
Right.
Not just because, like, Trey's famous and he has money and that'll rub off on me. It's like, no, he put something of value out there that I found helpful for my life. And then I want to turn that into how I support my family better, how I make more sense, whatever that is. And I just like can't stress enough that, not to get in my Billy pulpit here, or, you know, my pulpit here, but like, just like, you got to get involved in a positive way. Being friendly, being nice really does trickle down, like, or excuse me, it really does trickle down, you know? And I can't stress enough, like, just watching that over the last 10 years or so, because there's a difference between capitalism and shareholder capitalism.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. And that's where you're seeing these twisting of words coming from the WEF and places like that, where it's like, no, we do shareholder capitalism now. And it's like, that's not the same thing. What are we talking about? And I had Mark Gober on here, who wrote an extensive book about this, talking about it in hyper detail. That's real. Sorry about that, my rants here, but it's like, it's been built inside of me. So, where can people find you, and what can they expect from you? You had mentioned you're testing this cat and mouse strategy out and different things.
Yeah, like I said, that's not my strategy. I'm all about testing out strategies that I come across, but not being like, well, I got to test this and this. It's like, I'm gonna go all on this and see what kind of results we get from it. If it pans out, then it's like, that's awesome. Credit goes to Eric, right? A lot of these strategies, though, that are being taught, they aren't secretive. They're in view. You can see people running the play all the time. I would love it if people went over, if they're like genuinely interested in who I am and what I do, and go over to YouTube. You know, I think YouTube is a gold mine, dude. It absolutely is. I mean, some of my best clients are like, I've watched you for a year over there, and by the time they're ready to get started, they're like, here, right? And so I always, that's where I'm focused on this year, is just cranking on YouTube and showing up twice a week on there. That's where I would say to go.
Beauty. Not once a week, twice a week.
Twice
all
a week.
In. Beautiful, man. Well, I mean, that's just your name, right? That's Trey Bear.
Trey Bear, yep.
There it is. Beautiful. Well, Trey, thank you for giving me time and extra time and putting up with my rants and whatnot. It was amazing. This is years and years in the making, man, and I'm thrilled to have you on here.
Thanks for having me, man.